Hey there, and welcome! Today, we're going to dive into a technique that's, honestly, a game changer for any beekeeper, merging bee colonies. It's an absolutely essential skill for keeping your hive strong, healthy, and ready to survive. All right, let's get right into it.
So here's the game plan. We'll start by looking at a huge problem that beekeepers run into. Then we'll talk about merging as the perfect solution. We'll walk through all the prep work and then break down the two main ways to do it, the newspaper merge and the direct merge. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the one thing you absolutely have to get right for it to work.
You know, if you're a beekeeper, you've definitely had this moment. You're out there checking on your hives, and you spot one that's just struggling. It's not growing like the others. This right here is the classic beekeeper's dilemma: what to do about a weak hive.
So the big question is, what do you actually do about it? And it's a serious one. Because here's the thing, you can't just ignore it and hope for the best. For the bees, that's pretty much a death sentence.
And look, the stakes here are super high. A weak colony just doesn't have the numbers to stay warm and get through the winter. And even if they do, they won't thrive, they won't make much honey, and honestly, they just become a huge drain on your time and resources. You really do have to step in.
Okay, so the good news is there's a really powerful and elegant solution. Instead of just watching a weak hive fail, you can create strength through unity. You can merge it with another colony.
So what exactly is merging? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. You're carefully combining two separate hives into one big super hive. You can either take two weaker colonies and mash them together to make one strong one, or, and this is more common, you can add a weak colony to a really strong one to save those bees.
Now, what's really cool is you can do this pretty much any time of the year, but it is absolutely crucial in the autumn. Think about it. A big, populous hive is a warm hive, and that's what they need to survive the cold. So merging in the fall is a major strategic play to make sure your bees see the springtime.
But you can't just smash two hives together and hope for the best. No way. Success is all about the prep work. So think of this next part as your pre-flight checklist for a nice, smooth, and peaceful merge.
All right, this is the absolute #1 rule. You cannot forget this. One hive, one queen. The queen's scent is basically the colony's flag. So before you combine them, you have to find and remove the queen from the weaker colony. This leaves the stronger queen in charge of the new, bigger family. And you'll want to do this early in the morning or late in the evening when all the foragers are home, so everyone's included in the move. Okay, let's get into the first method. This is by far the most popular way to do it, and for good reason. It's super safe. It's called the newspaper merge, and it's all about taking the slow and steady approach.
The setup for this is just brilliantly simple. So first up, you take your strong colony, the one that still has its queen, and that's your base. Then you lay a single sheet of newspaper right on top. Maybe poke a few little slits in it to give them a head start. After that, you just place the hive body with the weak, queenless colony right on top of the newspaper. Close it up, and you're done.
And this is where the magic happens. The bees up top don't have any other way out, so they start to slowly chew through that newspaper. And as they're working on it for the next few hours, their different family scents start to slowly, gradually mix together through those little holes.
And what happens is, by the time they've chewed all the way through, usually a day or two later, they no longer smell like strangers. They smell like family. Their scents have all unified under that one queen, and they just become one big happy colony. No fighting. It's a fantastic stress-free method.
But okay, what if you're in a hurry? What if you need this done now? Well, that brings us to method number 2, the direct merge. This one is all about getting it done fast, but, and this is a big but, it's going to require you to be a lot more hands-on. So the main problem you're fighting against here is scent, but it's not just a smell, right? Think of it like a secret chemical password for the hive, all based on the queen's unique pheromones. If you just dump a bunch of bees with the wrong password in there, the guards will see them as invaders, and it's going to be total chaos.
So how do you get around this? Well, beekeepers have this awesome toolkit for basically creating sensory overload. You can spray everyone down with a scented sugar syrup that makes everyone smell the same, and it gets them busy cleaning. You can use a ton of smoke to confuse them. You can even dust them with powdered sugar. In fact, a lot of pros will just do all three at once to make sure it works.
And really, the whole point of all this, as the source material says, is to make sure that the bees are distracted from fighting. It's not just about hiding the smell. It's about giving them something else to do that's way more interesting than picking a fight.
Which brings us to a golden rule of beekeeping. A busy bee is a peaceful bee. You give them a job, like cleaning off sticky syrup, and you completely short-circuit that defensive instinct. It lets them all come together peacefully under the new queen.
So look, it doesn't matter if you go slow with the newspaper or fast with the direct merge. Success in either one comes down to the exact same principle, unifying the colony.
So let's do a quick side-by-side. The newspaper method, it's slow, but it's incredibly easy and safe. It relies on that gradual mixing of scents. The direct method, it's fast, but it takes more skill, and you have to actively manage it. Which one's right for you? Honestly, it just depends on your situation and how comfortable you feel. You know, this whole process of merging hives, it's a practical, hands-on thing, but it really points to something much bigger about honeybees, doesn't it? They're a superorganism. Their real power has always been in their unity, their ability to work as one. So maybe the next time you see a massive, thriving hive, the real question isn't just how, but is unity the real secret to their strength? Thanks so much for joining me for this one. I'll catch you on the next.